And welcome back. I have a guest in studio, Dan Burnett from Summit Rescue Group.
Right.
Good morning, Dan.
Good morning.
Yeah, thanks for being here. You know, there's some really serious events happening in the county. There's an avalanche in Vail. You guys are being deployed to reaches of the state.
Yeah.
But so important work.
Yeah, most of the stuff we want to talk about is funny, but we have our missions are serious, and we have a team now down in Douglas County helping in that search for the boy that's been missing down there. And it's terrible. Looking for little kids is terrible.
Unbelievable. It must weigh on your staff.
Oh, it does. But a lot of times we find them, and it's a great thing.
All right. Well, that's good news. So let's talk about some of the funny things that happen on rescue missions. I'm sure it runs the gamut.
Yeah, I think more often than not, things are kind of funny. We've had a couple of calls this weekend, and they're all what I call post holers. You know, people like to walk up the trails without skis or without snowshoes, and we had 2 calls this weekend where people walked up and got stuck and couldn't walk anymore.
Oh,
I mean, I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Why would you put yourself in that position?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. I think the things people do are pretty funny.
Are they out of towners or are they locals?
Sometimes both. Sometimes both. One was a trail runner, and they just like to go. And a lot of times you can walk right on the trail where the skiers and the snowshoers have gone. But then if you step off just a little bit, you're stuck up to your waist.
Yeah. And what do you say to these guys? I mean, do you just kind of say, "What are you doing?" and give them some real feedback?
And that's what I wanted to tell you, some of the stories of funny things. We had a situation, well, it happens every year, where people get lost on the lily pad trail. And the lily pad trail up at the top of Wilderness is one of the easiest trails you can ever pick to hike on. But in the fall, the leaves will blow and it'll cover the trail right up.
Yeah.
And it's easy to walk right off the trail and so people immediately call 911 in this cell phone world. And so I get them on the phone, and my first question to them always is, can you see anybody else? And you can't believe how many times people say, well, there's a guy right over there. Oh. And I say, well, ask him if he knows where he is.
Oh, for God's sake.
And so that happens often. And, I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, like employ your neighbors first, the people that can help you right here.
You would think, rather than dial 911.
And to be honest with you, I live up in Wilderness. You could probably just be like, can you see the road? Walk towards it.
Or most of Summit County, I don't want to underplay it, but most of Summit County, if you walk downhill, you'll come to a creek. If you walk down the creek, you'll be on a road, and walk down the road, you'll come to a highway.
Well, that's good information. I mean, it really is. Whether it's wintertime or fall, you really are. You're not in too much danger potentially. Maybe.
Yeah. It's good.
What are some of the what are some of just the basic maybe help that we can give people to not have to call you guys? What's a few tips?
It's pretty rare that we rescue Boy Scouts, because the Boy Scouts have that thing in their creed that to be prepared, and just a little bit of being prepared goes a long, long way. A couple of years ago, we went up to rescue on Mount Royal, which is another place that we have lots of calls right out of Frisco, and certainly horrific things have happened on Mount Royal, but some really funny things happen on Mount Royal. I climbed up to these 2 guys that actually had started a fire up in the cliffs up there, and they were keeping themselves warm on the fire, but there's very little to burn up there. And I asked them, how did you get this fire started? What did you use as a fire starter? And these guys were Walmart employees, which is not important, out of Colorado Springs is where they came up from and climbed up there. Yeah. They'd actually taken their underwear off and lit their underwear on fire. That's how they got their little survival fire. I don't think that you should. That's not part of a pre-plan, is having flammable underwear, but that was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. That would be a laugh out loud situation.
We have a lot of calls on Mount Royal that turn out kind of funny. One time we had I got there late. I'm one of the mission coordinators, and I showed up, but I was after them. They were already searching. Yeah. And on the bike path, had big floodlights up on the peak, and had lots of command type people standing around discussing what was the best way to get access into where somebody reported hearing boulders falling and people yelling help, and so it was a serious thing. Yeah. But there was nothing for me to do, so I walked up the bike path a couple hundred feet to get out of out of the light to kind of look a different way. And I caught these two guys sneaking down onto the bike path. The people that had knocked the boulders down, they were trying to avoid the authorities because they didn't want anybody to wag their finger at them. So they were walking down, and before they could say anything, I grabbed their arm and I pulled them. I said, "Come with me, this will be great." And I pulled them right over into the middle of all the command people. And they listened to me say, "No, I think we should go that way. I think we should go that way." And then I said loudly, I said, "So when you guys were up there yelling help, were you up there or were you over there?" And everybody snapped their head around and went, "What?" And the people they were looking for was standing right among them.
That's so funny.
I thought that was great fun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It,
The things that, entertain us.
Yes.
There you go, Dan.
We have one other thing I was going to tell you about was one time we were out on a dog search. We were using the dogs to find a lady, and this particular lady, this happens all the time also.
Yeah.
But this particular lady, she was laying on the trail. The dog scented right up to her and a couple miles up the trail, and we found her, and she was laying on the trail, and she was just kind of shaking like a cube of Jello, shaking. And we get up to her, and she looks up at me and she says, "Oh, I'm so glad I found you." And I said, "What do you mean you found me?" I mean, and that's what people will say, because their brains, when they're in real trauma, they're thinking I said, "What do you mean you found me?" And she said, "Well, it's good I found you." And I said, "You don't know me. You don't know my name. Who am I?" And she said, "How would I know that?" I said, "I know your name. I know your weight. I know where you live. I know your kids. I mean,
we've been looking for you.
And we're out here looking. But people get really weird when they're lost.
Well, thanks for being there and having the resource out there. How do we reach you guys?
Well, it's a 911 call if you're in trouble. But certainly we've got good web presence, the Summit County Search and Rescue Group, and it's all volunteer group. And we're always looking for people that want to do mountain rescue, people that want to donate to mountain rescue. It's a cool thing.
There you go. You heard it here, a volunteer for Summit Rescue Group. Thanks so much, Dan Burnett. We really appreciate you coming in today.
Cool.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks.